Ladies and gentlemen, this is El Cochino, Tom Lawler, and I'd like to welcome you to the podcast that puts the lotion on its own skin, LuchaWorld. Bitchin'.
Hey ho, hep cats, how's it going? This is the Freak Vandal Drummond, joined by Fredo, Esparza. It's episode 87 of the LuchaWorld Podcast. Fredo, I have never been so excited. I have both gloomy news and really happy news.
Yeah.
The gloomy news is, for the first time I think in 5 years, I missed the CMLL anniversary show. I did see the last fall of Gran Guerrero versus Niebla Roja, but I gotta say there's something that really makes me happy.
What's that?
I did not watch the AAA anniversary show.
Triple Mania.
Yes.
I like how you called it the AAA
anniversary show. Yeah. Yeah. And that's another bit of gloomy news is my scattered mind is confusing certain events with others.
How could you miss 6 hours of Triple Mania on Twitch? It was free.
I know, but I feel so alive and so free.
What were you doing that day? It was a Saturday. The last week of August.
Saturday. It was a Saturday, so I think on that Saturday, Elena and I were at Aunt's, my brother-in-law, mi cuñado, and we were watching we watched Airport 79, the Concorde. It was the fourth of the Airport series, and it was the worst of all of them, and it was still probably better than Triple Mania, with the exception, I hear, of Wagner, and I can tell you can tell that I'm my father's son because I call him Wagner.
And Wagner.
Yeah, that's
well, you could call him Ray Wagner now.
Yeah, Ray Wagner. Ray Wagner.
He's stitching the Dr. Wagner Jr. to be Ray Wagner now. Since he doesn't have a mask, so he's like he's a king now.
I gotta say
he looks like the guy from those commercials.
The Dos Equis
commercials.
Yes. He has a cool face.
Yeah.
He's a
he's a handsome guy too. He's a good-looking dude.
And it sounds like he's not leaving the business or anything.
No. I like how everybody's like he's got in Mexico. I have no idea why people like other people who do podcasts. Mm-hmm. I think we're the only ones to do podcasts where we just immediately say these guys are going to be around for at least 15, 20, 30 years after, or never, like, until they die. Because every single wrestler we talk to, like Luchador from Mexico, first thing they say is, like, they want to do this until they're unable to do it.
Yeah.
And, like, in Mexico, they always, like, Conan's podcast, and the Mas Lucha podcast, all these guys, they're always like, well, I think that he might have another 2 or 3 more years to go. I was like, Wagner's going to be around till he's like 70.
I think you're right.
Maybe less because he's without his mask.
Yeah, the only reason I wondered is because for some reason, I was surprised he dropped his mask because I heard stories about him kind of bartering to drop his mask but backing out.
Yeah, he probably wanted to get more money out of it.
Yeah, probably. So maybe he's just being wise. But no, it's like... this is probably the 18th time I've said this on one of our podcasts, but Peralta Morgan will be wrestling forever.
Yeah.
And
Mil Mascaras is like almost, he's at 80 at least right now.
Oh my God, I have to tell you, at work, really cool guy named Raul, so one of the newbies, he's been there maybe a year, and he was saying, hey Kurt, I'm going to my first Lucha match, and I'm going, you mean not like WWE? He goes, no, Lucha. And he said it's going to be at in Ontario at Citizens Bank Arena.
Yeah, October 1st.
Oh, really? And I get my phone, I look it up, and I'm trying to make it sound optimistic.
You saw the lineup, and you're like, oh, shit.
I said, well, this minis match might be good, but, Tinieblas Jr., Mil Mascaras, Connect Jr.
Mil Mascaras, I think he's just doing he's just appearing.
That's good.
Yeah, he's not wrestling.
And that's not a sign of disrespect.
Although you never know. You never know. He could wrestle on the show. They just did an appearance.
Yeah, and I don't mean this in a, thumbing my nose way, but it, for all the things said about Mascaras, even at a late age, he looked really cool in the ring, and he just had, he had that self-aggrandizing aura to him. And the last couple of times I've seen him make appearances in the ring, oh my God, I just hate to see him.
He's aged in the last 5 years.
It's much different than seeing Peralta Morgan, who can work being Peralta Morgan.
Yeah, because he's fat.
Exactly.
But it's like
he's
it
still
fits
cool.
in.
He's still
I like how we're just like we stare at each other to make sure we don't say anything bad about him. It's like what do you say?
No.
Yeah, but that show in Ontario, you could tell they were going with the legends.
Yes.
Thinking, so they're going with the full promotion, but it's like the lineup just.
I think it's a bad idea.
The lineup,
especially in a place, in an arena that size.
And there's another show happening that day, and it's funny because somebody's like, "Oh, they're doing it at the same day." It's like it's not going to matter because it's like the other show is a smaller promotion and a smaller venue. That show is they're flying in two guys from Chicago, Skyday Jr. and Bandolero, who are really good. I would have liked to have gone seeing it, but it's the Promociones HV show, and the match announced before that has Mr. California in it.
Oh, geez.
And then the main event is a 30-man cage match. And it's like, I don't want to go watch that. Yeah, it's like, as much as I like those guys. The show that sounds interesting is October 22nd. Steve Payne is bringing in Aerostar.
Oh, is he? Ooh.
That would be an interesting, and I think it's in La Puente or Baldwin Park.
That sounds promising.
That might actually be something that might be interesting.
That would be fun, yes.
So you skipped Triple Mania. It's like a 6-hour show. You could have watched it. It was available for free on Twitch. Although you probably been like, what the hell is Twitch? This is the thing. Like, I think of all the people, I know Rob knew about it because he mentioned he watched some other shows. They started doing some other wrestling shows, but then like everybody else knew about it because of the video game stuff. And it's like I had no idea what Twitch was. It's like I have no idea what this was, but it worked really well. Like it worked well, but it was 6 hours long.
6 hours. That's way too long.
I think if it would have been a 3-hour like the anniversary, I think all of us would have been really. If you just cut out that Triple Mania, which was the match that had like the battle royal and all the lumberjacks and all that. If you'd have cut that out and gotten rid of the English commentary announcers who were horrible, you would have got rid of all that stuff. And I think there was another match you could have got. Oh, the Sexy Star match, you could have gotten rid of that
easily. And
there was at least one more. Oh, the Pagano Messias match was with. I think they must have told these guys, we need. You guys aren't going to be focused on today, so sorry to tell. You guys are going to have to like be after this match. Sorry, you guys can't do a lot of stuff that you were hoping to do. And they just went out there and had like the shittiest match possible. It's like they could have got rid of those 3 matches, and I think there was like at least one more match. Cut it down to like a 4-hour show, it would have been great. Wow. But it being a 6-hour show, and then like so much of the stuff like in between was so I thought it was okay show. It was an okay show. I didn't hate it.
But for 6 hours,
I mean, and that's the thing with the anniversary. They didn't do a lot of stuff. Like they didn't like, oh, let's have a celebration and all that stuff. They just started the matches. Like they showed you like a video of of the last 6-7 years of the anniversary shows. And then they just got to the first match, and that's it.
It's almost, it was a routine show. I was going to say, when I looked at the full lineup of the anniversary show, I thought, okay, if this wasn't an anniversary show and it was a regular Friday night show, I'd say, oh my God, this is loaded. But
loaded.
For the opening matches, I'd say, wow, this is a really good card for just for a Friday night show. But for an anniversary show, I said, this is lackluster. We were talking before the podcast. The only thing that I saw was the last fall of the Niebla Roja versus Gran Guerrero match. I liked it more than I thought I would.
They were far better than I think anyone expected.
I was not expecting it to be that good
because there was no build up to their match. Yeah. Like really, like there was a week and a half, really 2 weeks where Niebla Roja wasn't working shows, and like the only thing he was doing was interviews, and everybody thought he was hurt. And then like when they would have their matches, the trios matches, it was always a trios match. You already know what that's going to happen. And it was so underwhelming, their performances, because compared to what Zeuxis and Princesa Suhei were doing, where they were bringing it all out there, I mean, they just looked really bad. And then the other thing was, like, CML just didn't, like, their programming department did them no favors. Like, they like, Gran Guerrero's a really new young guy. Yeah, he has his brother. He's been around his brother. But a lot of people who, like, younger people who get into wrestling, who are in families, they don't really get they're not automatically like guys who like,
exactly.
They don't know how to do like storyline stuff, like, oh yeah, I'll do this and I'll do that. And like you could tell Gran Guerrero wasn't like that type of person. He's gotten a lot better in the last 2 years. Like for a guy, like if I would have told you 2 years ago Gran Guerrero was going to main event an anniversary show, you would have said that is the craziest thing.
I'd say you're high.
Yeah, yes, and Niebla Roja still had a little. Niebla Roja has shown he's a talented wrestler. I mean, going back to when he was on Hede Plata. But even him, I never thought he would be a headlining an anniversary show.
Right.
But I thought his odds were a lot better than Gran Guerrero in the last 2 years. But Gran Guerrero, he looked really good in that match. Niebla Roja looked good too. I thought this was a lot better than the women's match. Like, not a lot better, but just a slightly better than.
Right. I actually liked that the finish. I wasn't expecting the 3 count to hit. I kind of like those little surprises where not everything is super climactic. Like,
and the thing was, I also noticed this with their match, and then also the Suhei Zeuxis match. They weren't kicking out of like these insane finishers. Like the finishers they were kicking out of were very like basic stuff.
Yes,
pin attempts, like, oh, this person's covered, rolling you up, you kick out, or it also hurts because Niebla Roja and Gran Guerrero don't really have good finishers, in my opinion.
Right.
They don't have good finishers. They're just like pick them up, drop them down off the middle rope.
Yeah.
That type of finisher, so it doesn't come across that great. But I thought the match was a lot better. I thought the anniversary in general, all those other matches were very just average.
Really?
They were average. Nothing special. Like you were mentioning the lineups. They had the first match was good. And that was mostly Hechicero. Hechicero, I think if you were going to give MVP of the anniversary, Hechicero's performance was really good.
I can't remember who wrote that. I read online somewhere that somebody said that Hechicero, it's like it was made for him. Like it was his night to shine. Yeah. Which is cool.
Because his teammates were a little bit off. I don't know what it was with them, but at a certain point, to see Hechicero like telling him, wave him in, like, guys, you guys got to do something, because he got hurt. He got hurt during the match.
Oh, no way!
Yeah, he got hurt, and he kind of like wanted him to get into like kick so he could kick out, or they could like take over for a bit so he could like check his leg or whatever. Yes. And it's like they were just like really screwing up a lot of stuff, but they still weren't bad enough. Like their screw ups weren't bad enough to where you thought, oh, they're horrible. Yeah. And the Panther carried his side. Cool. Stuka Jr. and Blue Panther Jr., they're basically the okay guys now. The second match was, I think it was the Dinamitas versus Marco Diamantes and Valientes. Yes. So that match, I think everybody was hoping the Dinamitas would get a better opponents. Not because those guys, Diamantes was awful, and Valientes kind of like lost it a little bit. But I think they wanted guys who they could ragdoll, a little bit, like they could like throw around and stuff. But the Diamantes, the Dinamitas looked good. I said the Diamantes. You know what happened? There's more of Sombra's family. There's more of his like relatives are getting into wrestling.
Oh my gosh!
And I saw somebody had tweeted. I think it was Rob that tweeted out a picture of like the younger family members that are starting to wrestle. And but the Dinamitas looked really good. But they didn't get to like showcase themselves. They got to work with main event caliber technicos. Marco Corleone looked good. Diamante Azul, is Diamante Azul.
Yes.
The third match was probably like the third match and the semi-main event were really the matches that were horrible. Like I thought I wrote they were okay, but to me like okay.
You were being kind?
Yeah, okay is being kind. Like yeah, they're okay. Like. I think if these matches were on a Tuesday, I would have skipped them. They had a Rudos versus Rudos match. And so they had Rush teaming up with Sam Adonis and Cranio.
Oh dear. I don't remember. Oh my gosh.
Hey, at least they didn't have Piroz. Yeah. Versus Nero Casas, Felino, and Barbaro Carbonario. We did get Barbaro Carbonario versus Rush, which looks like something they should go for at a later date. They're really focusing on Sam Adonis versus Nero Casas, and I don't know. It's like I'm just so tired of Sam Adonis in Mexico. It's like
you wish somebody who was a little slicker came up with the idea of doing the Trump gimmick. Was it his idea or was it the promotion's idea?
Well, they've had a couple of like Cage did it and I love how they all argue about that stuff. Like they still argue about it.
Cage did it, but it's like what I saw. He came out with a Donald Trump T-shirt and he took it off. Yes, that's really not.
Yeah, I know. He wasn't like doing like he wasn't waving a flag with Trump, and he wasn't cutting promos talking about how great Trump is. Sam has done that more, but Eli Drake made a comment about that. He works for Impact.
Okay.
I don't know what Impact's name is at this moment because Impact is currently like in
Global Impact.
They dropped the Global Force because that's owned by Jarrett. So there's there's something going on. Remember, they got rid of Jarrett recently.
Yeah.
So he made a comment about that. So now they're all back to being upset about that stuff. Melissa Santos very upset about that, and it's like it's just really stupid. But this match, I mean, I don't know. I just hated this Rudo versus Rudo. They could have done.
Yeah.
They could have. And then the other thing is like they kind of hurt the semi-main event. Usually the semi-main event, the last couple of years, we've gotten like Sky Team versus like Girls Laguneros or Hijos del Infierno or some
like
combination.
The whole thing was a party.
Yeah, so that it was always a really good match. But this time they went with Volador, Flip Gordon, who was debuting. You know, you imagine this new guy making his debut.
Yeah, exactly.
In the semi-main event of Arena Mexico.
As much as I love the name.
and it actually wasn't his first lucha match because he worked in The Crash.
Right.
But still, The Crash, the way they do lucha isn't the way CML does lucha. This was a traditional lucha trios match.
Yeah.
So then you had him, and then you had Caristico versus Kojima, who has not caught on to lucha libre at all. Ultimo Guerrero and Mephisto. So you had Kojima completely confused with what was going on. Like every match he's been in, he's been totally out of it.
Wow.
So that match was really. I thought that was like a bad match.
So before I forget, you were saying that Eli Drake said about Sam Adonis.
No, he didn't say anything about Sam Adonis. He did the Trump gimmick.
Oh, also. I'm sorry.
He did the Trump gimmick.
Yeah.
He did the Trump gimmick, and I guess
one of the people.
He
stole it.
And then he brought it up, and then Cage, and I think Cage teamed up with him. Didn't he used to team up with him at some point?
That I don't know.
I think they used to team up. If I might be right. I might be wrong. I might be wrong on that. But all those guys, they all kind of like after a couple of years, they all just kind of blur in together. You know, it's like when we start talking about Impact because AAA has talent. AAA and the Crash have talent working on Impact, and we were talking about the bearded guy. Like that's all I know of Maz, the bearded guy, and then so Dylan on that show will be like, there are a bunch of bearded guys on Impact. It's like, yeah, well, the white bearded guys, like there's a lot of white bearded guys. Like, well, you know, I can't tell them apart, but it's like there's a bunch of guys that are like all like kind of like, but I don't know. It's like that whole Trump thing is so stupid. I'm kind of tired of it.
Yeah. It's one thing to wave the flag and, just shout and yell Trump, Trump, Trump. But, I mean, after a while, you got to have a little more...
You really could have combined those two matches together. In some way, they could have just had Kojima teaming up with those guys and then just had, like, Caristico team up with, like, Pesta Negra and just, like, done something different in the... what they really should have done is had Euphoria in that match for Flip Gordon. Because, I mean, if they wanted to, like, showcase his high flying, Euphoria is the one guy who's really good at catching... anyone and the weird thing is they have them feuding on the Sunday shows, which is like the typical CMLL type of thing.
God.
Like they come up with this stuff and it's like so the women's match was good. They had Zuxis had her second with Negro Navarro. Sue Hayes was Shocker.
Oh, cool.
So but they were like they kept getting asked about that and they didn't want to mention it because it's like you guys are taking away the focus off of that for that. Off the women's match for that. And they were talking about how they should have been the main event. And I don't think they should. I think after once, if you watched it, you're like, yeah, it was a good match. It probably could have main evented.
Yeah.
But this would have been an okay anniversary either way. So it's like, it was a good match. I thought it was good.
Cool. Any word on how they...
I was surprised. Zuxis won, really.
I was mildly surprised too.
Yeah, because it kind of seemed like she would actually be the one. I think because everybody just assumes she's good looking.
Yeah.
Well, I think. Did you ever see the picture of the WWE tryout of all the women?
No.
She was one of the people there, and she was unmasked, and so people thought she must be good. And when she wears her mask, you could kind of see enough of her face.
Oh yeah.
She looks like she might be a good looking girl. Whereas Suhei, like she has her face covered enough where you can't really tell. And people were like, as soon as she removed her mask, hey, you all lied to me. You guys said she was wearing her mask because she was ugly. She wasn't that bad.
Yeah, people get it's funny, people get the wrong idea because so many people said, like, oh, he's so handsome. Why does he wear a mask?
Yeah, with Niebla Roja.
Yeah, and I hear that every now and then over the years, like, oh, well, why does he hide that
Sombra.
handsome face? I mean, it's
part of the gimmick.
They don't realize what a huge part of the mask.
It's part of the I think it takes remember with Bischoff when he wanted to unmask everybody because he wanted to unmask Juventud because he thought Juventud was good looking.
Yeah, that's right.
And the worst mistake was unmasking Rey Mysterio, because when he unmasked Rey Mysterio, well, Rey Mysterio at the time was like 25, 26 years old or something, and it's like he looked like he was like 12.
He looked 12, and he had his. Because I remember when he was Colibri, he had shoulder length hair.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that guy would look cool even without a mask. But then when
he had receding hair by
then. It didn't quite.
Because I think he had receding hair by that point. So you go with that. But yeah, I thought that match was good. I thought the main event was good. The show, I mean, for the price, I ended up getting the combo package. Mm-hmm. I think it was like $20 for both shows. The Grand Prix also, which you missed. Also, you just admitted you did not watch the Grand Prix.
I did not watch the Grand Prix.
The Grand Prix, really another show that wasn't. But if you combine the other than Diamante Azul winning the match, really, I mean,
that's what made me not want to backtrack and find it somewhere.
Yeah, other than him,
I didn't want to see
but
that.
I thought if you're getting those three matches, it was worth $20. Mm-hmm. I mean, for those 3 matches, it was good. The rest of the matches, I didn't think that was like. We've had so much better, and it's really CML. Like for some reason, they're holding back on they were going all earlier in the year. They were so gung ho with Sanson and Soberano. Dragon Lee was doing stuff. They had Carvanario doing stuff. The Barbaro Carvanario Volador Jr. tag team.
Oh, jeez, that was great.
The little rivalry they had.
And that Increíbles final.
I'm guessing that's going to be the first, the main event for the first match. First show in 2018, because remember they're doing the best of 2017 headlines the first.
That's one of those few times I think I watched that match 3 times, and I rarely watch matches over again.
And Volador Jr.'s in a bad match when he's pretty much when him and Caristico are pretty much we're not going to do anything in this match. Let's just keep it as safe as possible. Flip Gordon did this kip up spot where he just kept going, and it's like. I don't think he realized that Arena Mexico is a very pro-Rudo crowd. Mm-hmm. And if you do a lot of flashy stuff, you have to realize that at a certain point you shouldn't do too much of it. And he kept doing it.
They'll turn on it.
And they kind of turned on him a bit.
Yeah.
But it's I think it was good. And I think he was okay enough where it was. And the match was so the crowd was quiet for a lot of this show. So it's
how did it draw? Do we know?
It didn't draw that well. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of empty seats from what we saw during the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I didn't expect. Yeah, I didn't expect a sellout crowd or anything. And I was wondering.
Yeah, and the other thing, when people are saying that the women would have they would have drawn about the same, because I don't think women's wrestling is as big.
It isn't
as people think. I think they see what WWE is doing with them, but really that's WWE. The name.
It's a whole different. That's a whole different
deal, and it's and in Mexico, and they were asking Suhei and Zuxis if they thought. This may be the next step for women's wrestling in Mexico to move up, a main event for the CML women. That's you basically had Suhei versus Zuxis, which is really the big feud. For 2 years they were feuding. That was actually built up a little bit better than the other stuff, but it's what else is there? I mean,
well, that's the thing. Is it if you're saying this is the beginning of a new phase for women wrestling in Mexico? No, you'd have to have a stronger body.
Yeah, a lot of
better talent.
Yeah, you would have maybe some of the veteran women were still good, and they're still good. Marcella and Amapol are still good, but I mean, even watching them, as much as we like them, they don't do what they used to do. They're kind of tailing off. I mean, Dallas can't headline a show. She would be the furthest possible, unless she did a hair match, got her head shaved. But even then, I can't see that. Maybe a Saturday or Sunday show.
I think you'd have
or a Tuesday show.
I think you'd really have to revamp the women's wrestling. I think it takes more than just a couple of new names or something.
Because even the new names they brought in, Haro Chita, Lady Maravilla. None of those women, Yuvia, Reina Isis, none of those women are going to be I could see the only thing I could see headline maybe an Arena Coliseo or a Sunday or Tuesday show that might actually, and it won't draw well because those days they don't draw well. Saturdays they do well because it's Arena Coliseo. Compare it looks a little more packed. The only thing I think would draw well is Silhouette versus Zuxis. If they built it up, because I actually think the Zuxi Silhouette match that they had a couple years ago was better than the mask match that they had.
Yeah, I could see a match or a feud getting over, just not the whole women's wrestling.
Yeah, not on a Friday show. I can't see that.
Totally re-educate. Do you?
People don't remember this was they were banned in Mexico City for like a really long time from like this. I think when I started doing the Ruben Juarez research was right when they were banned. I think 1962, 63, somewhere around that time period.
Was it around the same time when they wouldn't let kids into the arenas anymore?
Yeah, because I kept reading about that stuff on there, and it's like, okay.
Because it was, and at least with the not letting kids in, I know that was a political move that backfired for LuchaWorld because he was upset. No, he wasn't upset. He was upset that the rival promotion was
Tele Centro.
Yeah, and he wink wink had somebody say this is too violent for people to watch, and so not only did they take it off TV, but they said let's not let kids in the arena, which kind of I'm sure bit the LuchaWorld in the butt a little bit.
I mean, come on, what kid? One of the experiences of going to a lucha show is a kid running for his life from a tope suicida, right?
That's right.
Or the one time I saw that one.
It's a rite of manhood.
The one time I saw that one dad holding his kid in place so he wouldn't move. At Arena Paraguay, I was like, dude, that's like some bad parenting.
Yes,
dude. Come on.
Yes.
Yeah, but overall, I thought the show was good. I thought it was okay. CML with what's going on with the earthquake, they had to cancel the Tuesday show, so I don't know what's going to happen Friday.
That is a shocker. It's as we're recording it, this is September 20th, so it's right after the second huge Mexico quake, and this one is really chilling. I mean, that first quake, I think we were all amazed just how
huge
little damage, how huge it was, but how little damage it did. Comparatively, I mean, this second one really has been terrible. I mean,
well, they canceled the anniversary that year too, so.
The one in 85.
The 85,
Supremo was...
Yeah. You were looking forward to that match, right?
I didn't even know what was happening.
Yeah. back then you had to wait for your magazine to show up.
Exactly.
Or you didn't know what was going on.
You had to go downtown LA the
and
weeklies.
If you were busy that week,
I must say I do miss that, though. I do miss being able every week to go to downtown LA and find like 4 different weekly wrestling publications I could buy,
Yeah, so... the other thing with that is like... Right now, all you have is like all the Twitter accounts are just people like using their Twitter account to help other people like find family and stuff like that.
No,
and
this is really upsetting.
Yeah, like it's very sad.
Well, a lot of the on Facebook, I saw a lot of the local lucha guys, or even whether they're wrestlers, the local lucha fans are asking about relatives in Mexico, or even ones who don't have relatives in Mexico. Who are from there. I mean, it's shaking everybody.
Yeah, I know, like, Trauma 2 was, he posted a video saying that if you're not in Mexico and you just need to contact a relative to send him your information, your phone number and stuff, and he would try to find out.
Cool.
He would try to find out if you could contact them.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then, like, I know Puma is like, Puma and Tiger and all those, the Casas family, they're going around helping people and stuff like that. So there's
a lot of people here is trying to just get in contact just to know if their relatives are okay.
Yeah, and then Arena Naucalpan, Arena Mexico, a lot of the arenas are like helping, like they're making their places at the base for like if people want to leave stuff for donations and stuff like that. So I think that's it's nice to see that's bringing people together.
It is, and I gotta say, Mexico was helping out a lot with the storm in Texas, Harvey.
And then there's the other hurricane.
Yeah, and the only reason they had to pull out of helping them is when the first earthquake happened. But
yeah, I know.
A lot of catastrophes.
2 earthquakes in Mexico: Hurricane Harvey, Hurricane Irma, and then now Maria.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Hurricanes and earthquakes everywhere. Yikes!
And the even bigger disaster, Donald Trump.
Yeah, absolutely. And we could call that an unnatural disaster, a man-made disaster.
We were talking about this earlier. How there's like 3 stories on the news right now. It's basically the 2 disasters going on, like in Mexico and Puerto Rico, and then there's 3 stories on Trump doing really stupid stuff.
Exactly, and it's like everybody. So many people are just pretending like nothing's wrong.
Yes.
It's like the emperor is not only naked, ladies and gentlemen. He's also puking, pissing, and shitting himself. And everybody acts like, oh, yeah, what a good job the president's doing.
And I only say 3 because I stopped counting after that.
You could do a webpage on that. I'm sure somebody has. And then for everybody doing a webpage citing all his gross errors, there's somebody else putting up a website saying, no, he's the savior of our country.
I should mention there was one match that you should have watched that was even better than any of these matches that I talked about.
I'm almost scared to ask.
Better than anything in CML or AAA. Actually, not CML because it's part of CML, but the Anniversary and Grand Prix shows. And that was Microman and Gallito. Winning again against Mije and Chamuel. Chamuel, the little clown.
Chamuel, I love that name.
He's my Facebook. He's my friend on everything. Like he's my social media friend.
You're one universal social media friend.
He's like.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
I think he might be. He's like the one person that. No, actually, there's like two people who do that. There's two people who do that: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. It was a really good match. Their effort out there is far better than anything that I expected.
That match that was saw last back in May.
Yeah,
that blew my mind.
Yeah, hopefully they're all okay after this earthquake. Like that's the thing. I haven't seen any luchadors like report that they've had issues or something.
I'd like to also keep your ears open on any way anybody can contribute to the recovery effort.
Yeah, there's so many right now, so it's like
I'd like to pick the right one.
Yeah. Well,
there's some that are a little more legit than
others.
That's the trick.
They were gonna have a show in Puerto Rico, Mysterio, Mysterio Mania. Rey Mysterio was gonna be on it. It's called Mysterio Mania, but it's a tribute show for Messias. Ricky Banderas.
Oh, okay.
So Hugo Savinovich posted on his YouTube channel that they basically had to cancel it because of the weather and the hurricane and stuff. He's like it's not that we can't do it because we don't know, but it's like the problem is that we don't know what it will look like on Saturday. It's like because right now people can't go check the building and stuff, and the promoter has to go check the building. He has to get the inspectors to check it. It's like, and we don't know when that's going to happen. And he's like, and rather than just have people like show up, because he's like, I'm not just saying this for the wrestlers, I'm saying this for the fans, because he's like, there were people flying in from other parts of the world to like come to this show. He's like, we would rather you guys stay safe, stay where you're at. It's like, don't come here, because not only that, it's like the airports. We don't know what the situation is going to be with the airports and stuff like that. He's like, so we're just going to postpone.
Yeah, at best, I think it could be an awkward mess under those circumstances, and at worst, it could be
well, that's the weird thing with Mexico. Like that happened, and like the anniversary had happened, and I knew people that went there, and I mean, they really like they got out of there in time because that's really that's a bad. That's anytime I being here when we had the earthquake in Northridge earthquake. What was that, like a 7.5 or something?
I think so, Ian. Well, that's the first thing I thought when I heard about the 8.1 in Mexico, because
this is 7.1.
Yeah, I mean the
85
the first one. There were, I think, 58 people killed, and the Northridge earthquake, if I remember right, was 50 something also, and just how miraculous it was that it wasn't worse. And
were you were in this side of you weren't near Northridge, right?
No, I was. Yeah, we were still at our place in Walnut.
Yeah.
What our friends Dan and Mary Lou Farron.
Yeah.
They were in Northridge. They were right in the eye of the hurricane. Yeah. That's a stupid way to say
that. For an earthquake.
The eye of the earthquake.
The epicenter.
The epicenter. Yeah. Yeah. See, there's a reason I'm not a nuclear physicist like my father. There's a lot of good reasons, and that's one of them. No, but we Physico and I went and helped them. It was the most chilling thing because their apartment, they were allowed to go into it just to retrieve stuff, nothing else. And you could see why, because it was I think it was like a 3-story apartment building, and there was a crack all the way through it. Like it was like actually off the foundation. I'm amazed they actually let people in at all. But Dan and Mary Lou had just boxed up a whole bunch of stuff. Like they had a whole corner in their apartment of boxes, stuff they were going to put in storage. And the earthquake happened like right after that. And when I went into their apartment, I looked, and it looked like somebody took every box and threw it like across the apartment. It looked like a giant picked up the building and shook it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very chilling.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't that close to it, but it's like it was still, you could still feel it. That was easily That was easily the scariest one. There was one like a couple years ago. It was like a 5 I think, like a couple years ago.
Yeah, the Whittier's. Not the Whittier quake. The Whittier was one that I remember feeling.
Like
that
10 years ago.
Time,
10 years ago, there was one that was like a 5, I think.
Yeah, the Whittier in '87 is one that I felt the most where.
Because it was close to you.
Yeah, it was right smack next door. But the Northridge was.
That one
heavy too.
Those aren't fun, man.
No, not at all.
I'd rather deal with an earthquake than a hurricane, because at least the earthquake is just like that one period.
Yeah, and I think we're more familiar with it too.
I still don't like any of them. I will say that I don't like them when they hit when there's kids around. It's like, cause it's like it makes you nervous. The kids are all scared and shit. It's like, oh shit. Yeah. Although I'd rather they be with me than be like at school or something. It's like you do worry about that. So getting back to, it was weird. It's a weird week. We had all these disasters, and we also had like a couple people pass away this last last week. Ruben Juarez, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Rey Celestial. Rey Celestial was a young up and coming wrestler.
I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, he passed away. He got hit by a car.
Oh my god.
On his, I don't know where he was going, but he was on Saturday night. Like, it's weird because they wrote the report and they said it was like right before the Canelo fight. So I'm guessing he might have been going to go watch the fight. I don't know why they brought that up. Maybe I guess whoever contacted them to tell him that he passed, that he had been in the accident, they must have just said, he must have done something at that point. But yeah, he was a young guy. He was his girlfriend is a wrestler, La Magnifica. I think it's his girlfriend. They have a son. Really sad because he just wrestled the Crash show on Wednesday.
Oh my gosh!
So a lot of wrestlers. So a lot of wrestlers like from DTU, AAA, who got a chance to meet him. The Crash, they kind of like the Puebla wrestlers. They all kind of like were dealing with that. And it's sad because that happened, and then they have to deal with this earthquake because that's where it all hit. It hit Mexico City, Puebla, and Morelos.
Oh my gosh!
So all those people are dealing with that also. So yeah, and Ruben Juarez on Wednesday. I mean, 90 years old.
90 years old.
That's a big difference,
nice
22 to 90. You feel bad no matter when somebody dies, but 90 years old,
No, it sounds like he had a good life. I mean,
yeah. Roberto from Monterrey, one of my friend's son. I like saying like he's now a promoter and stuff. He kind of mentioned that he had just talked to him like a year or two ago. And he said he was still into wrestling and stuff like that. He burned out on the promoting aspect of it because he kind of thought,
which is probably why he lived to be 90.
Yeah, he gave up. I think he stopped promoting like in 92, 93 or something. Yeah. So I think that's why he was able to like.
I think even if you're passionate about it, there must be a point where it's you want to throw up your hands and say, I'll just sit back and
it's history because considering he gave 40 years of his life, like 40 or so years of his life to wrestling,
Yeah, I mean, he, it made me a bit wistful when I saw of his passing, because he was one of the first big pushes that I saw when I was a wrestling fan in LA. I've talked about this before. Ernie Ladd put him over huge.
This will be our instead of me doing a cutout of the Lucha Classica podcast, this will be the segment where if you guys want to sign up to the Lucha Classica podcast, you can listen to this.
Sign up because we'll talk in more detail.
Because this is we're going to be talking about Ruben Juarez on that podcast.
Yeah, we'll be talking in greater detail.
But yeah, you were telling us about Ernie Ladd, his run with Ernie Ladd.
Ernie Ladd took great pride in, Ernie Ladd would not do jobs right and left. He did them when they counted, but he took great pride in putting people over. And Ruben Juarez was a little dude.
And that's where I first I heard of him from that, and then I saw that he had been in Mexico, but it was I wasn't as familiar with him at that point. And then when you find out that he was one of the top guys in the '60s, you're like, oh wow, really? This guy was a big deal.
The one of the few years I didn't go to Cauliflower Alley, I really wish I went because he was a surprise apprance.
That's what I asked. I was like, did you go that year?
And when I heard he was,
he talked about it. Did he
really?
He said that there was somebody at the event, and he's like, and they asked him. So I think they asked him about the run with Ernie Ladd, and he was like, I was just surprised people remembered me from that time period. That somebody at this event was still. Oh, he saw. We'll talk about it but he saw Judo Gene LaBelle also and a bunch of other people. So
cool.
He was very happy.
Ladd was there.
Yeah. So he
was. I mean, because somebody told me that he was complimenting Ladd on.
Yeah.
putting him over so strong.
He was talking about like he had a feud with some Japanese wrestler, but he never mentioned his name because he couldn't remember. But he said it was somebody that he feuded with. I'm thinking it must have been Oki. I think it was because he said it was somebody that passed away before. Like this was an interview like in 2007, and had passed away, and he was like specifically his opponent. I think it was Oki because he said they did a special on him, and I have that. I should look that up. Yeah. I have the video.
I bet you're right.
They did a All Japan Classic special on Oki.
Oh wow!
So
very cool.
And he said he appeared on it. I'm like, man, I didn't even realize they had that footage back then.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, but yeah, that was like that was just a surprise. It was.
But hats off to somebody.
Yeah.
A wrestler living a good long life. I mean, 90 years. That's like 130 years in human years.
Not too many wrestlers make it, as we hear.
Exactly.
One of those cleaning crews passing.
That's right. They're coming to exterminate the neighborhood of all wrestling folk.
The cleaning crew.
Oh, we should talk about.
You recently went to a. Do you want to talk about the Piloto Suicide event?
That's what I was just about to bring up. Yeah.
Yes, you were just there. I couldn't make it. So how was that?
It was actually a very good show. Everybody worked pretty hard. I was actually really impressed.
Where was it at?
It was at Florence in Maine, where we
the Puma show and all.
The Puma show where there's all.
You said Puma.
Puma Pete. No, that the Florence in Maine, the arena with all the pillars.
Yes.
blocking the way of the ring.
Yeah.
No, it was a good show. It was a very good show. Piloto Suicida, one of the premier local luchadores here in LA since the late 1980s. Injured his shoulder, very bad injury. Is gonna have to be getting a rather costly operation, unfortunately. But want to give big props to Superboy. He promoted the show without even informing Piloto because he flat out told me I knew that if I presented the idea to him, he would have turned it down because he's got a lot of pride. A lot of the locals were there. Dr. Maldad was in the main event.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes. And of course the other LA fuckers. Damien 666 was there. A lot of the older local boys, the old timers like Gran Coloso, Gory Chavez, not Gory Chavez.
Gory Guerrero. At least you came.
Edit that part out.
At least you were close. At least you were
out.
Close with Gory Chavez.
The reason I thought of Gory Chavez is because today is the 20th, and today is Gory Chavez's birthday. So I do want to say happy birthday to Gory Chavez, who is one of the granddaddies of LA Lucha since the early 70s. 69 years old today. Happy birthday. No, Gran Coloso, Piloto Nuclear was there, Frankie Lima showed up, Ramon Villanueva, a lot of the old-timers were there just to support Piloto. Really good show, and good turnout, and hopefully raise some good cash for Piloto. And yes, Piloto was there, and typical Piloto, his arm did not look good, but he was upbeat as always. Always very one of the most optimistic people I think I've ever met.
Yeah,
really good guy, and solid.
When is he getting surgery?
He's not sure. He's having to.
The swelling has to go down, doesn't it?
I think it has to go down, and he has to figure out how the insurance will work. That kind of thing. Yeah. But talk about somebody who is a hard worker.
Sucks because we saw that one match he had with where it was him, Acero Dorado, and Espectro, one of the many Espectros.
Yes.
Versus Puma, Tiger, and Guerrero Maya Jr., which was really good.
That was a good match.
That was a good match. So
that was so much fun to watch. So props to Superboy and Superboy's family, of course. Who
they were all there.
The whole crew was there, and
What was the main? The main event was Damien and his son, right?
Yeah. Do I have it written down?
You didn't write anything. You didn't write the results and send them in to Meltzer. What's up
but
with
I think I put down some of the results. So, okay. See.
Dude in blue outfit.
Yeah, that's him. I know the dude in the blue outfit. Very well, very well. Yes, Superboy Jr. A Spectro Jr., yes.
Yeah, he was
And a guy called Boricua.
Yeah, I think he's in a mask match.
They're mainly using him to hype...
for Cerro Dorado, right?
Yes. Against... And no, I didn't write all the results.
Well, you don't have to tell us all. I mean, I just wanted to know the main event.
Yeah, and we have Piolín was there. Leon Blanco, Kid Tornado, Legacy, of course. Príncipe Indu Jr. did not wrestle. He was hurt himself.
Oh, he's hurt too? What happened to him?
Just one of the things where he lifted something too heavy and wrecked out his back, but he's going to be fine.
Man, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, Indu Jr.
Come on. Get with it!
Don't lift stuff. That's what you have your brother for, your other brothers.
Anyway, there's my chaotic review on a very well-organized show. Very well-organized show for an awesome wrestler. We're hoping he's going to be fully healed and in action again. Okay.
Kurt, how excited are you for the next AAA show that you will probably be missing?
I'm excited.
You're very excited because you're not going to be watching it?
I'm not going to watch it. In fact, I want to be cognizant of when it's on, because when it's on, I want to be doing something fun and just drinking in the fact I'm not watching.
Did you watch AAA on TV this past, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. They had one of the channels locally, the Univision Deportes. Oh, you don't have cable. That's right.
Yeah, I don't have cable.
Yeah, forget about it.
I'm practically a hermit.
Yeah, you basically...
I have Hulu and Netflix and...
Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you practically got rid of everything.
We got rid of cable, and there's certain aspects of it I miss, but
never mind.
I do not miss it.
Never mind.
I do not miss paying for cable.
They basically did like a build up to when they would air like the mass match. Mm-hmm. The Triple Mania show. I think they air like a couple of highlights from stuff and then like the mass match.
Yes.
And they air like 5 days in a row, like an hour every day of like best of. Like the first one was like an introduction to AAA and Lucha Libre. Mm-hmm. The second one was Triple Mania like 21 or something, 20, then 22, then 23, then 24. And then on the Sunday they aired the mass match Triple Mania 25. And but it's all edited. It's like you just got a 6-hour show and you're editing it down to like a 45-minute segment. It's like, this doesn't sound like... I didn't watch it, but I was just wondering if you watched it. If you watched it, but then I forgot you didn't have cable.
That's right. And my only thought is whoever edited it probably is not involved with AAA, because it probably would have been a lot more than just an hour, and they probably would have done everything incorrectly too.
Well, yeah. That's true. Considering that their show, like sometimes their TV show sometimes does that. Well, their next show is on October 1st. Talking about October 1st. It's the Heroes Inmortales show. Mm-hmm. It's going to be in San Luis Potosí. I know you heard Sexy Star got stripped of the women's title.
Yes, I have.
The Reina's title.
Because I'm sure you have gone over it in other podcasts. So just what is the current status with her? What?
I think she's gone from AAA.
Really?
Because she posted a tweet, and I think it was a social media thing where she said goodbye to her character. Mm-hmm. And lately, all her pictures have been her without her mask. But it's AAA, it's Sexy Star, and then Impact. You just don't know what's going on with them, so it's like the odds are she'll probably be back again in AAA. So I think when I read about it, I just thought, what a chicken shit thing to do. Yeah.
Being bullied by somebody, sure. Fight the bullies.
Yes.
You
I think LA Park made a comment on it, and he said he was siding with Sexy Star, mm-hmm. because he said she should have broken her arm completely. What? And it's like, but his reasoning was the Watts way of thinking, and it's like, if you're gonna get in a fight, mm-hmm. he's like, you gotta hurt them, that way you can get rid of the weak links of pro wrestling. But I think LA Park, the problem is he didn't watch it, So he's basing it off everybody's stories.
It was such a...
Because it was a chicken shit thing.
Yeah.
And I was going to tell Park, but she went after the one girl that had nothing to do with it.
If she fought back on either of the other girls...
Ayako or Shani, I would have been like, okay.
I would have been so impressed, and I would have bowed to her for doing that. But no, she takes the one and puts her in a trusting position.
Yeah. So it's like, she's...
It's funny because after that happened, there's an old friend on Facebook, and when I mean old friend, somebody I met at the Atlanta Wrestling Convention in 1980.
Damn.
Yeah, Dave Ruth, but he's a guy who his dad was an indie wrestler back in the South, and he's been involved in indie shows for years, refereeing, but he said somebody else who was like that and who thought he was really cool for doing it was Brute Bernard. Brute Bernard says the way you shoot on somebody is you wait until they trust you and then get in a hold and hurt them. And
that's the chicken.
Yeah, and Dave Ruth was just saying what a chicken. He didn't say it in these words, but what a chicken shit thing that is. What a cowardly thing that is. I mean, for every Danny Hodge who's not a bully but will school somebody if they need to be schooled, there's 100 sexy stars of Brute Bernard who wait until they have a good opportunity to hurt somebody.
I want to put like a picture of Sexy Star and Brute Bernard together. Because I wasn't Brute Bernard like bald. Like just put them together. To,
yes! Oh my god!
Sexy Star has joined Brute Bernard and it's like them too.
Anybody who's listening out there, there's an art project for you.
Like put that.
If somebody made a sketching of that, you would put it on the LuchaWorld page. Anybody out there? Oh, please listen. Oh my god.
Yeah, so they basically had her strip the title, and they held 2 matches to determine the number 1 contenders. It's going to be Lady Shani versus Ayako Hamada, the 2 women in the match that actually had issues with her.
That's funny.
So, but it should be a good match. The big thing in this show is that they have Johnny Mundo defending the title 3 times. He's a Triple Crown champion, so he's defending each title in individual matches against like a number of people.
That's
like,
bizarre.
But I think it's their way of I don't know, maybe they just want to like break up the Triple Crown thing and start having other people do it. They have like the Copa Antonio Peña. They have Johnny Mundo defending the Latin America title on that match. Then they have him defending it against... Remember all those guys that were in like La Llave La Gloria? The young guys? He's going to defend the Cruiserweight title against those guys. And I think a couple of other guys like Mascara de Bronce and all that. And then the Heavyweight title, he's defending it against Ray Wagner. So I'm guessing he's going to drop all 3 titles. I have a feeling he's going to drop the titles and probably just that's going to call it.
I think if I was running the show... Why not just have him drop one of the titles
in
a different town? That way, maybe in a town where that would give him a little rub. Look, we had a title change here, so a title.
Or the other thing is, it's possible he keeps one and drops some of the just because it's too much. Like you're just depending on him, and he's basically. I do know that the day we saw him at that show where he kind of ran off on us. He was talking to Sean Black.
Yes.
And he was telling him that he basically had Mexico booked throughout the year. So I'm guessing maybe throughout the year might be like this time period. I'm guessing we're getting close to the end of the year, so maybe he's kind of good drop him and maybe say, you know what, I don't want to go. Time to go work for...
Have another adventure.
Lucha Underground and Impact and independent stuff.
It could be.
I'm guessing that's possible, that might be their way of like getting him.
Yeah.
And this could also be their way of giving Wagner, you dropped your mask, now we're going to give you a title or something.
Yeah, it's just funny in the storyline, like, you're going to win the title from somebody who's wrestled twice already tonight.
But I like how they have these... I like how they have these matches, all of these matches, and Mundo's in 3 of them, and there's and they're not like the main event of the show. Like, the you would think Wagner versus him would be the main event, but the main event is going to be Macias versus Pagano versus Joe Leader in a death match. I think that's probably they're paying back... doing the the favor for them having such a like I think there must have been something where they were told you guys can't do all this stuff, we'll pay you guys back if you do it we'll give you the Heroes Inmortales.
I almost suspect that they're just trying to make CMLL feel better about their anniversary show.
They're booking
such a weird
everybody just books really weird.
They do.
Yeah.
I know this will never happen, but I am an old man and I do miss shows that have 4 or 5 matches and really hone in those matches rather than 10 matches.
Yeah, this show feels like there's like... It feels I think there's 7 matches because there's also the local talent. You don't get to watch that, but something you might if they have room for it. But it's like, but then all those matches, there's like the first one, the cruiserweight has like 8 people in it. The Copa Antonio Peña has 20, and then there's another match where there's like a couple of other. The tag match, I think there's like 4 teams fighting or something. Or I think it's the trios match, but yeah, there's so many. They're trying to like add too many people to their show. It's like trying to make everybody. Yeah, I think they're doing the opposite of CML, where CML is like, we're not booking all these guys. Like, oh, you could run another show with all these guys. Why not do this?
Yeah, it seems like so many indies that we.
You can't win. You can't win, really.
Yeah, it's like they think if you have more matches and have the show go all night long, everybody's going to want to see it. No, they're good. It's just everything's going to look
just
diluted.
Come up with something crisp. You know,
exactly.
Yeah. You know, you're not going to be PWG in as far as like quality.
Absolutely.
Nobody's going to match them in quality.
So look for strength.
Yeah, look for your strength of one good match. I think that...
It's so true.
Yeah.
So true.
Because we go to a lot of indie shows where we don't even get one good match, and we just spent like $20, and it's like, yeah, we spent $20 and we didn't really...
Yeah, honestly,
or like Dan Farron realized we spent an hour and a half standing outside not watching anything.
And we have so much fun too.
Yeah, we have way more fun out there because we always end up seeing the wrestlers out there, and they're all like
sit around shoot the bull with them. Yeah.
That show we went to where we spent the entire show talking to Jeff Cobb, remember?
Yes, that was a fun time.
Yeah, we didn't watch anything. We were just talking to Jeff Cobb about him. We're teaming up with the chicken and him just telling us like what his career and stuff like that.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yes, we did interviews that day too. So
yes, we did.
Yeah, so anything else you want to add, or?
I think that's about it.
Lucha Classica is coming up.
Yes.
You can find at LuchaWorld.com, Patreon.com/LuchaWorld. It's going to be on Ruben Juarez, and I think we're going to talk about Bobby the Brain Heenan also.
Absolutely, yes.
Because I think we both...
I know this is off topic, but this is a unique individual.
Yeah, and I think that's something we could add to the whole Patreon thing. People like... So. I think a lot of our listeners are familiar with him, and I mean some of them probably grew up like you have wrestlers you kind of grew up with. He's one of those people that you grew up with, a voice you grew up with.
Yeah, well, and in my case, since I'm a little older, my first vision of him,
because you didn't even you probably heard of him but hadn't seen him.
Yeah, my vision of Bobby the Brain Heenan was not so much what he was doing, but I just pictured him with blood all over his face.
Yeah, because
that guy used
magazine.
To juice.
Yeah.
And the magazine covers it. This is a grand exaggeration, but it seemed like almost every other Apter magazine had a photo of bleach blonde Bobby the Brain Heenan with a mass of blood on his face and a great caption saying, "God help me, I'm drowning in a sea of my own blood," or something like that.
He did a lot too, and it's unfortunate the way it like the last couple of years turned out. But
tough guy.
Tough guy, yeah. Also really nice. Like when you read about stuff, like he seemed like a really nice, like down to earth person. He wasn't like he didn't seem like I don't think he probably won't make the list of the crazy people in wrestling. Like he's crazy because he's in wrestling, but not crazy in the
but for somebody who's surrounded by a lot of crazies, he's somebody who towed the line wonderfully.
So that should be fun. We'll do that.
Okay. So look for that, folks, and. Until then, Hare Krishna.